As a constitutional law attorney, Jenna Ellis believes in the rule of law and the importance of integrity in our elections. And she's ready to tackle the big cultural and legal issues facing America. This is the Jenna Ellis Show. Here is your host, Jenna Ellis.
Hello, friends, and welcome to another episode of the Jenna Ellis Show. I'm Jenna Ellis. Today, Tuesday, November 7th, we do have elections today in two very important states, and there are a number of states that are holding elections today, but two very important governor's races, which include Kentucky and Mississippi. And you are formerly from Kentucky, and this is really interesting that the current governor, Andy Beshear, who defeated Matt Bevin, unfortunately, back in 2019, was up last month by about 16 points, far ahead of pro-life Attorney General Daniel Cameron. But the latest poll now from LifeSite News shows them at about 47% each. This is going to be a very close race. So I hope that everyone in Kentucky and also Mississippi today will get out and vote your values, vote for pro-life, vote for conservatism, and all of that. But from the perspective of an insider that knows Kentucky politics, this is really fascinating to me that both of these candidates are so close. What do you make of that?
Well, okay. So, Jenna, I actually had the opportunity and the privilege to work for the former governor, Matt Bevin, and he did lose that race by 4,700 votes. He lost it in Jefferson County, which is where Louisville is. It's home of the Louisville Slugger Museum, Papa John's, Ford. They build the Explorers there, all that stuff. But he lost it there, and it was largely it was in 2019, but it was largely due to issues he was having with teachers' unions and teachers' pensions within the state. And so he did not prevail, and actually some of the issues, the frontline issues facing education had not come around nationally. Now that's a part of the national conversation, and it would be an interesting bout today, given the same kinds of issues that he was dealing with in 2019, he might prevail. In today's race, Andy Beshear is a very popular governor, largely because of his family name. Steve Beshear was a two-time governor there. He was a lieutenant governor. He's well known in Kentucky politics. Andy is definitely a liberal, and he's a liberal, interestingly enough, in this bastion of republicanism. That was not the case just 10 years ago. But there were several wave elections that flipped the state assemblies. And so now across the board, there are 6 constitutional officers in the state, lieutenant governor, ag commissioner, state treasurer, all of that. All of those offices, except for the governor, is held by Republicans. The Senate is held by Republicans. The House is held by Republicans. They got everything they want. It's just Beshear is the only sole Democrat. He and the lieutenant governor, the sole Democrats in the state. And so Daniel Cameron is the challenger. He's the current attorney general. Just a few years ago, Andy Beshear was the attorney general. He is absolutely pro-life in his convictions and his values. He is somebody who was the chief of staff to Mitch McConnell. He's actually served in the Senate. So, in fact, there is rumor, Jenna, that Daniel Cameron, if he were not to prevail in this fight today, he might actually run as the heir to McConnell's seat later. But it's one of those things where I would not draw too many national implications, though many will, about, what does this have to do with Joe Biden? What does this have to do with what's going on in D.C.? Kentucky is unusual, as a state, in that it really, really does come down to local issues. And when Andy Beshear was handling COVID, he failed, and failed miserably. And there was a public backlash. When it came to disaster relief, just last year, there was major flooding. There were because of the hurricanes that kind of swept through and storm systems. And he handled that with flying colors. And so many people locally are now up on Andy Beshear. But as you quote the poll from just earlier today, the race has tightened, as all races do on election day. It is dead even. We'll see if Daniel Cameron actually wins and comes out on top, but I would predict that if he does, you're going to see a lot of conservative legislation coming out, finally being signed. Certainly there are overrides right now in the House. They have numbers. They have a supermajority to override the governor's pen and the governor's veto. But with a Republican governor, it still changes a lot in that state.
It does. And I'm speaking with Ryan Helfenbein, who is the executive director of the Standing for Freedom Center at Liberty University and also the vice president of communications. And Ryan, this is what I love, an insider's perspective into state level politics from someone who has been there and who knows all of the players, because you're absolutely right that a lot of people do draw national implications from governor's races and some of these other more high profile statewide races, like some of the some of the other things like even senators and so forth. And that's not necessarily accurate, because when you go to every state, there's always local issues. There are always local players. If we look at Mississippi's governor race as well, with Tate Reeves, who's trying to win a second term, and his challenger, Brandon Presley, who's the cousin of Elvis Presley, there's some very interesting local issues there as well. Abortion and pro-life are also among some of the differences here. But this is why I think it's so important for everyone listening to really be engaged in your local state as well. Know the local history, the local issues, the local players, your local, whether, if it's GOP, if that's your party, if it's independent, whatever it is, to make sure that you understand what's going on. And also the fact that you have an election today. There are a lot of people even who aren't aware of that because they're so myopically focused on the presidential election next year. And this is why we have lower turnout in non-presidential election years. And so I hope that everyone who is listening, who is from Mississippi and also from Kentucky, recognizes that this is an important election. And as you said, Ryan, just to underscore this, the governor absolutely matters. We can look at the whole COVID fiasco and see the differences between how that was handled, but then also with pro-life legislation and with other conservative legislation. Because if you have a governor that's going to just veto whatever comes out and you don't have a supermajority, then you can't really get anything done. So what's your encouragement for how people who may not have your background and experience actually working for a sitting governor to engage in local politics and get involved on the local level?
I would look at school board races. There are going to be many today, and folks who are voting today in Virginia, New Jersey, Mississippi, Kentucky. Look at those local school board races. That is a great place to get involved. In fact, in many ways, those school board races, Jenna, as you know, they help to lift what's taking place not only at the county level, the local level, but also the state level. When those ballots come in and people are concerned about what seats might be up for grab, what propositions might be on that ballot, what's the makeup of those local boards? Look at that. Also, city council, those races. We have a mayor right now in the city of Lynchburg, Virginia, who just 3 years ago was a stay-at-home veteran mom, Air Force, her husband, retired Air Force, very, very involved in church life, very, very involved in what's going on here at Liberty University, decides to run, decide, not on a whim, but a calling, felt a tug at her heart and a conviction that she wanted to make the place she called home better. She did run, and she ran for city council. And then within just a couple of short months after winning her council seat, she was actually voted in as mayor. And so there are people all across the country for whom that is true. They felt the call of God. They were concerned about what was happening around them locally. They were not as concerned about that. Certainly, we're all concerned about the scandals that are coming out of D.C. But what you see in local politics is that if we do focus on our locality, our city, our township, where we come from, the place we call home, if we focus on that and trying to make that a better place, we really can change this country nationally and have broad sweeping implications in national races. But I would even say, you mentioned the race down in Mississippi, Tate Reeves. That should be one that he's winning handedly. I think that based on those polls, he probably will. But the reason it is a tight and close race is it has to do with, yet again, another local issue. And he was tangled up in a scandal more recently, going back to when he was lieutenant governor and misuse of welfare funds. And you have name recognition and notoriety from his Democratic challenger, Brandon Presley. Again, all of these things are local. And while we will see the gateway pundits, tomorrow and elsewhere, Beltway guys who will say, oh, well, this has implications on Biden. This is all about Biden, or this is all about former President Donald Trump.
And we got to leave it there. But Ryan Helfenbein, Standing for Freedom Center, you can go to standingforfreedom.com. Make sure you get out and vote in these states today. We'll be right back with more. With inflation, the banking world collapse, and everything that Joe Biden is doing not to protect America, you need to make sure to secure your financial health, especially in retirement. And hey, if you're a millennial like me, that actually is sooner than you think. You need to start now, even if you are a millennial or a Gen Zer, to make sure that your financial health is actually healthy when we get to retirement. And Legacy Precious Metals has a revolutionary new online platform that allows you to invest in gold and silver online in real time. In a few easy steps, you can open an account online, select your metals of choice, and choose to have them stored in a vault or shipped right to your door. You'll have access to a dashboard where you can track your portfolio growth in real time anytime. You'll see transparent pricing on each coin and bar, and this puts you in complete control of your money. The platform is free to sign up for. Visit legacypminvestments.com and open your account and see this new investing platform for yourself. Gold hedges against inflation and against a volatile stock market. A truly diversified portfolio isn't just more stocks and bonds, but different asset classes. This brand new platform allows you to make investments in gold and silver, no matter how small or large, with just a few clicks. Visit legacypm.com to get started. You can download the free investor's guide, and you can also call Legacy PM Investments to talk to a portfolio expert to get expert answers to to customize your personal portfolio. So visit legacypminvestments.com to get started. Tell them that Jenna sent you. Welcome back, and we have been talking about the important elections today across the country. Today, Tuesday, November 7th, and Ohio will vote on abortion today. So according to the Washington Post, speaking of some bias in journalism, but their headline is, on Tuesday, voters across the country will head to the polls for Election Day. And while elections and the issues on the ballots cover a lot of ground, there's one big theme running through the elections: abortion. And in a state such as Ohio, abortion is explicitly on the ballot. Ohio voters will determine abortion access, or as we would call it, murder of unborn children, which Washington Post won't call it, on a ballot measure called Issue 1. So if it passes, the measure would guarantee abortion access up to the point of fetal viability. And Fox News said last month a bipartisan group of 100 black pastors signed a letter opposing Issue 1, writing that it is, quote, more extreme than Roe versus Wade and, quote, will allow for painful late-term abortions through all 9 months of pregnancy, even after an unborn baby can feel pain. So if you are voting your values and you're in Ohio, then Issue 1 needs to be a no. So joining me now to discuss this and all things pro-life is our very dear friend Frank Pavone, who is the director of Priests for Life and the national co-chair of Pro-Life Voices for Trump. So good morning, my friend. And how important is this to the state of Ohio and overall the pro-life community and advocacy of this issue?
Well, hi, Jenna. It's always good to be with you. And it's, the importance of it is that the pro-abortion people are trying to put into the state constitutions what they just lost in the federal constitution. The Supreme Court said in Dobbs, there is no constitutional right to abortion. And, in making that decision, they not only were referring to the federal Constitution, they explicitly said never in any state constitution in its development or its history or its interpretation has there ever been asserted a right to abortion. So the importance of this is that it's going to test really how well the other side can fool the public. And I say fool the public because the people of Ohio have already spoken about what kind of limits they think there should be on abortion. The people, through their duly elected representatives in the legislature and their governor, enacted a heartbeat bill. In fact, Ohio is the place where the heartbeat legislation started. Now, of course, these things always go into litigation and it's not in effect right now, but nevertheless, the will of the people has been made known through the legislatures, and that's how Dobbs said this should be decided. What they're trying to do today, the pro-abortion forces, is bypass the legislative process, fool people into what I call soundbite voting, where they don't understand exactly how extreme the measure is that they're enacting. And if this happens, then the people can't even, if these babies claim this through another constitutional process.
Yeah, and Frank Pavone, as you were speaking, this reminds me of exactly what happened with the Obergefell versus Hodges decision, right? Because we, with the issue of same-sex marriage, where we had 30 plus states that had state-level constitutional amendments that said that the state would only recognize a marriage between one man and one woman, and the Supreme Court overturned that and I would argue unconstitutionally. I think, conservatives and originalists would argue that decision was flawed in its inception, similarly to Roe. But what's fascinating about this is that the leftists and the Democrats all celebrated this and said, well, too bad for constitutional amendments. This Supreme Court decision trumps that, and it is binding. And so too bad for you. We're going to force these states to recognize same-sex marriage. But yet now when we have the Dobbs decision that they don't prefer, now they're trying to, on the back end, go and codify this essentially in their state constitutions that, according to them, a Supreme Court opinion should overturn anyway. So, I mean, it's so mind-bogglingly hypocritical of them that whatever their political policy preference, they will say, oh, a constitutional amendment is binding or a Supreme Court opinion is binding, and it just matters on which one they prefer at any given time. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. Whatever their convenience is. And Jenna, it's way more radical than people realize. As you said, the proposed amendment says let abortion happen until viability. However, here's what it also says. While abortion may be prohibited after viability, it may not, in the professional judgment of the pregnant patient's treating physician, it is necessary to protect the pregnant patient's life or health. Two things to point out about that. Number one, viability. Three things. Number one, viability is not defined. Number two, healthcare treating physician is not defined. So if you're talking about the abortionist, it's in his or her best interest to do that late-term abortion. They're going to get $25,000 if they do the late-term abortion. And third, health is not defined. In some of the pro-life laws that have been passed, health is clearly defined as the irreparable damage to a major bodily function. But health is not defined that way here, and so therefore many of the courts will fall back on the Doe v. Bolton decision of health, which has prevailed in abortion decisions for 50 years, namely, she's too young, or she's anxious about the pregnancy, or she doesn't have family support, and that's making her nervous, or, it includes all factors, age, emotion, family, etc. So in other words, this is abortion on demand. This is unrestricted abortion until birth. Moreover, the amendment also would allow a child to get a transgender surgery without the parents even knowing about it, because the amendment talks about any decision regarding reproductive health and talks about an individual, not an adult. So the wording of the amendment is any individual has a right to make these reproductive decisions without any interference. So we're talking about eviscerating parental rights of all kinds, not only about abortion, but about any kind of intervention regarding reproduction. This is really extreme.
Wow, it is. And it's amazing how the left and the pro-abortion advocates aren't talking about that. They're wanting to make this seem like it's just until a viability, like the article that I just read from the Washington Post that, talks about, abortion access and, this is so benign. This is just protecting, a woman's choice after, viability and all of that, instead of genuinely advocating for what they really want, which is state-funded abortion on demand. They never say that because they know that it is so heinous that they're not going to tell the truth about that. And as soon as you read that term health in there, I mean, we know how manipulated that term has been for the left and for courts. And, to speak about the health, that's not just the life of the mother, some, including, for example, President Trump, who wants that type of exception, and some conservatives and even Christians want that type of exception. This is talking about things that, even if it's just economic health, or even if it's just mental health, or, you can literally shoehorn any reason that a mother might want to seek an abortion into that term. So this is really important for people to recognize. And, when we looked at what happened with the pro-choice legislation that unfortunately failed in Ohio, what is your prediction on the outcome of this issue one? Has it been broadcast enough to the state of Ohio and conservatives there that we expect a good turnout?
Well, we hope so. One of the things I can say confidently is that the level of support for issue one in Ohio has been going down since the summertime. And that's what tends to happen when you're pushing a no vote. When you're pushing a no vote, time is in your favor, because the more time people have to think about it, they start saying, well, initially it sounded good, but gee, I didn't realize that it meant that a parent couldn't be involved in a minor's decision, or I didn't realize that it included transgender. So now, as time goes on, the no vote increases. Now, if it indeed passes, that would be a big problem. But we have to look also at by what margin does it pass, because one of the things we've been doing at Priests for Life is bringing together the national pro-life leaders and saying, look, every state battle is a national battle. I mean, this is obviously a national battle. It's been getting national attention. But does every national group have their people activated to help Ohio? Phone calls, people flying into the state, knocking on doors, spreading things on social media. I mean, we've been doing this, and I think it's been having an impact. So the level of support has been going down. The gap has been closing, because in the summer there was a large gap, in favor of this issue one. Because again, on its surface, it sounds good, but then you start learning about it. So, is it going to be enough? It's going to all depend now on turnout. I mean, you know as well as I how these elections work. And right now, yes, the messaging is still important, but everybody in the sound of our voice, somebody in Ohio, or even if you don't, use social media to say, listen, get a friend, get 2 friends, get 10 friends. Just spend as much time today as possible getting out the vote in Ohio, because ultimately it's a numbers game, and we got to get people out to the voting booths. Voting's been going on for weeks now, and hopefully people have utilized early voting. But today's the day to bring it across the finish line.
Yeah, really, really well said, Frank Pavone, who is the director of Priests for Life. And it is such an important issue. And when we think about the attention and the time that is spent on, national elections, particularly the presidential elections and the primaries, I mean, that is daily in the mainstream media's narrative and conversation. And that's a year from now. I mean, the primaries obviously will be sooner than that, but the national election, and that matters. We need to talk about that, obviously. But this is why it is, again, so important to understand what's going on in your home state and also in other states, because social media is a powerful tool. And if we had every single person who is listening to this show right now, even if you only have, a couple hundred friends on Facebook, you never know who will share and continue to share. And it can reach enough people that if someone didn't know or wasn't aware that this is on the ballot, or maybe they were confused about it and didn't know the rhetoric and the terms that are actually in this and how they can be abused, then that is just continuing to educate voters and encouraging turnout. And Frank Pavone, as you said, I mean, this always is just a matter of turnout. And it's always shocking to me how leading up to Election Day, even though people know Election Day is coming, leading up to it, it's like day of, I'll get a ton of emails, phone calls, text messages, all this saying, hey, who should I vote for? And what is this measure? And, should I, in Colorado, should I retain these judges? And people don't do their homework ahead of time. And we really need to be better engaged citizens for that reason. So in just the last few minutes I have with you, overall, how is the pro-life advocacy movement going on a state-by-state basis? Because we see a lot coming from Washington, but that's almost Washington-centric. How are the states doing in terms of helping advance the pro-life cause?
The overall picture, and I have a great position here because not only because of my travels, but the meetings of leaders that we organize. Overall, I'm excited. I see people waking up. Tonight, I'm flying to Michigan. Tomorrow is the Michigan March for Life that I'll be participating in. Just 3 days ago, I had a meeting with Florida pro-life leaders. There's a similar amendment here that the pro-abortion people want to introduce for next year, and we were meeting together and strategizing how to stop that. All the states, to one extent or another, the movement is getting stronger. People are getting more activated. I don't want people to be discouraged if they see these different ballot amendments passing, because you've got to put that next to all the legislative progress. We've got, right here in Florida, we had the 15-week bill, and then the following year, which was this year, the 6-week bill. We're making progress everywhere. And legislatively, we've got over a dozen states that are protecting babies right from the beginning of their lives. So we are on the winning track. There's going to be bumps in the road, but I'm encouraged, Jenna, overall. And I want to encourage folks in regard to Ohio. There's a special website, endabortionohio.us, endabortionohio.us. And as they follow our advice today and get the messaging out there, that's the website they can utilize. And again, let's get the vote out, not only in the Ohio thing, but the elections going on across the country.
Amen to that. Well, thank you so much, Frank Pavone, for your work, your commitment to pro-life advocacy, and for the fundamental God-given freedom and the right to life. This is the foundational issue, as you and I talk about so often, that absolutely matters. It is our first freedom. We have to continue to protect that and advance it at every single opportunity. So if you are in Ohio today, or you have friends in Ohio, again, make sure that you are getting out and voting your values today. With inflation, the banking world collapse, and everything that Joe Biden is doing not to protect America, you need to make sure to secure your financial health, especially in retirement. And hey, if you're a millennial like me, that actually is sooner than you think. You need to start now, even if you are a millennial or a Gen Zer, to make sure that your financial health is actually healthy when we get to retirement. And Legacy Precious Metals has a revolutionary new online platform that allows you to invest in gold and silver online in real time. In a few easy steps, you can open an account online, select your metals of choice, and choose to have them stored in a vault or shipped right to your door. You'll have access to a dashboard where you can track your portfolio growth in real time, anytime. You'll see transparent pricing on each coin and bar, and this puts you in complete control of your money. The platform is free to sign up for. Visit legacypminvestments.com and open your account and see this new investing platform for yourself. Gold hedges against inflation and against a volatile stock market. A truly diversified portfolio isn't just more stocks and bonds, but different asset classes. This brand new platform allows you to make investments in gold and silver, no matter how small or large, with just a few clicks. Visit legacypm.com to get started. You can download the free investor's guide, and you can also call Legacy PM Investments to talk to a portfolio expert to get expert answers to to customize your personal portfolio. So visit legacypminvestments.com to get started. Tell them that Jenna sent you. My friend Mike Lindell has a passion to help you get the best night's sleep of your life. He didn't stop at the pillow. Mike also created the Giza Dream bed sheets. I have them. I love them. These sheets look and feel great, which means an even better night's sleep, which is crucial for our overall health. Mike found the world's best cotton called Giza. It's ultra soft and breathable, but extremely durable. Mike's latest deal is the sale of the year. For a limited time, you will receive 50% off the Giza Dream Sheets marketing prices, down as low as $29.98, depending on the size. So go to mypillow.com and click on the radio podcast square and use promo code Jenna, Jenna. There, you'll find not only this amazing offer, but also deep discounts on all MyPillow products, including the MyPillow 2.0 mattress topper, MyPillow kitchen towel sets, and so much more. I have all of this. I love it. Everything from MyPillow and also mystore.com. You can use promo code Jenna. So go to mypillow.com, use the promo code Jenna, and also mystore.com. And remember, use the promo code Jenna.